I think ours are probably pretty similar to what the NFL has. I'm looking at the rule book right now, and they need to be inflated to a pressure of 12.5 to 13.5 pounds. I know that our officials check the balls, a couple hours before the games. They're required, each team, to have like 12 game balls. At the college level, some schools use Wilson balls, some schools use Nike balls, so they're using different kinds of footballs. So I think it's easier to know if someone is doing something wrong. I mean, they all have their school logo on them. I didn't even realize in the NFL that they used, each team had their own balls. I assume since they're using the exact same ball that the NFL, provided 12 balls that were used for the game. So that, in that sense, it's a little bit different. But we haven't had any issues with teams messing with the pressure of the game balls.
Now, I had noticed that you and I discussed before we began our interview that an incident with the Lady Grizz over in North Dakota, they realized about halfway through the first half they were actually playing with the men's basketball. I think a lot of folks didn't know that the men's and women's basketballs are different.
The men's basketball is larger. I believe it's 29.5 inches. The women's basketball is 28.5. And on the women's balls, it actually says 28.5. So it should be easy to identify. And when you get them in your hands, I think for especially a male, it's easy to understand. But I think that with women, if you're playing with that ball, you would know. And you know what? We've had that. I know there was the incident at North Dakota this year, and I think we had it somewhere else. And that is kind of surprising to me because the officials do come out, and when the game ball is placed on the scoring table, they check that ball. I've seen officials, check the air pressure. They bounce it. They check it to make sure that it's not hasn't been altered with or is not. The word I'm looking for. It's to make sure it's perfectly round, I guess, is what I'm saying. And it surprises me that an official didn't catch that it was a men's ball when it should have been a women's ball. That's about the only thing with basketballs or footballs that I can recall that we've had issues with.
Now, did I hear you correctly that the women's ball is actually a larger diameter than the men's ball?
No, it's smaller. Oh. I think they're at 28.5 and the men's is at 29.5.
Okay, because you had mentioned 25.9.
I actually had a women's ball in my hand yesterday and I could palm it. I can't palm a men's basketball.
So do you think that maybe a little bit of nitpicking going on with the NFL, with this whole Deflategate deal, or does it just give us something to talk about in the off week?
It gives you something to talk about, but we've discussed this in the office, and myself, having back in a long time ago been a quarterback, I think that there is an advantage to having a ball that's slightly under-deflated because they are easier to throw, they are easier to catch, they're not as hard, and if you're carrying the ball, you could put it and tuck it, and it makes it harder for the defender to get the ball out. I think it's crazy to think that if 11 of the 12 balls that the Patriots used in that game were underinflated, and the Colts, none of their balls were underinflated, something was going on. It wasn't just the weather or rubbing the ball or whatever Mr. Belichick said in his press conference on Saturday.
So there may be something going on there aside from just happenstance.
I think so, and I think you've heard some quarterbacks this week even say, in the NFL that they like the ball a certain way, and they would rub it and they would do this, and they would want it at the lowest possible. I think 12.5 pounds per square inch. That is the lowest that you can have it. That's what they wanted it at. They didn't want it at the higher, really inflated.